Okay. I just wanted to take a moment to pause right there in the beginning because sometimes when I speak right away, it cuts off and it doesn't speak the way I talked in the beginning of the video. I've noticed that with some of my live videos. I say something in the beginning and then the live starts and it's like, oh, you didn't say that. I mean, the video didn't call it. And I'm like, that's some bullshit because once I pressed one, I mean, once I saw the timer going to one, start talking. But apparently, once it reaches to 5 seconds, that's when it's great to freaking talk. I don't know. I mean, it is live, so it has to adjust, I guess. So, I guess. But listen to this real quick. I put the video to this in the description box. The video is called "Final Fantasy Needs to Let Go," and it's true. Final Fantasy needs to let go. Here it is. This is the end part of the video. It's so good and so accurate to how I feel about the franchise, man. I love Final Fantasy. I do. Truly and fully. You guys know, I've been playing Final Fantasy on this channel. Tons of videos. I'm almost done beating it. It's not even a Let's Play series, and I'm actually almost done with it. But let's listen to this real quick.
So after all of that, what is a Final Fantasy? As it turns out, anything can be. The fire magic has to be called Fire, Faraga. Limit Break has to make an appearance. Someone has to be called Sid. And that's all there is to it. You have all the ingredients of a Final Fantasy.
Don't forget chocobos and Moogles. So, and for some reason, Tomberries. For some reason, a lot of people want to be like Tomberries. I can see why you want to put them in that inclusion. I can see why. I mean, look at them. Tomberries are adorable but dangerous as all hell. If you ever see one, run, run, run. Okay. Oh, what is it? I think it was in Final Fantasy 9 that they kept going close to you, and then once they got close to you, oh my, that shit was scary, man. That shit was scary. If you ever was scared out of Tombe, that was it. I remember playing that shit as a kid. I was like, oh, they're getting close to me. Oh my god. Let me beat them. I couldn't even beat them. I couldn't even beat them. I tried to. I should have ran away, but I don't think I did. But if I did, it didn't work. That usually happens to me. Oh, you ran? Yeah, fuck you. It only happens in the old Final Fantasy game for some reason. But continuing on. Sorry about that.
I am amongst the existing fans of Final Fantasy that are also fans of Devil May Cry. But it remains a shame that we have another casualty in the growing desires of the market to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
Thank you.
It's a shame another cheesecake has been removed from the menu and another donut added, when there are only a few cheesecakes remaining and so many donuts to choose from already. I am certain this will be a good game.
I'm not.
But Final Fantasy is dead. Long live Final Fantasy.
Long live Final Fantasy. Some people say that, hey, Final Fantasy died when
part of its appeal.
Some people say that hold on, sorry about that. Some people say Final Fantasy died after 10, or when 10 came out, or when 13 came out. But let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves, truly. Final Fantasy is in a state that we never thought it would actually be in. Some people look at this and be like, I kind of wish we got the 13 stuff again. Because at least that was actually funnable. Or at least, I don't know, something that I can actually play. Yeah, I talk shit about it. Yeah, I hated it. But at least there was something. There was nothing here. And I'm like, exactly. And I love Final Fantasy 13. 13 too, the capturing monsters. You guys know how I feel about that. But other than that game doesn't need to be needed. Lightning Returns, didn't finish it, but I would love to finish it. Again, we should have the remasters of the 13 series already on PS4. What are you waiting, Square? What are you waiting on? You already remastered 10 and 11. So where's 13? I mean, not 11, 12. Where's 13? Where's Final Fantasy 13? How awesome would it be a remaster of Final Fantasy 13 and you can use all the abilities that you have? Like meaning, you know how it takes a while for the gameplay to finally show itself. What if now it finally does? You don't have to wait for that option. Now you could choose Ragnar. Was now you could choose Ravager or Saboteur anytime you want. You know how awesome that would be. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, you did it in Final Fantasy X remastered when you gave the player a choice. Hey, do you wanna a traditional how to go through the grid, or do you want to go through the grid however you want? And I picked however I wanted. At least in my version. In my friend's version, we picked traditional, which we didn't notice until later on, but we still made our characters fucking badass. So we were really fucking amazed how badass we made our characters. Oh hell yeah. It's so amazing how the customization in Final Fantasy X is. It's just beautiful. And the gameplay. But this is why I talked about I would not get Final Fantasy 16, and this is why I say Final Fantasy 16 will fail. Now, a lot of people might say that no, it will not fail. It will make money. Guys, you guys don't understand. You guys probably don't understand and understand what fail means. Fail doesn't mean just because you made money, you're succeeded. Okay, look how many movies out there that made but never got a sequel because people fucking flat out hated it. Okay, and then Hollywood could have had a chance to redo it and made a sequel for it. But they don't because they were like, well, we did make that money, but people just did not like it. You know? The thing is, man, Final Fantasy 16, when I even saw the when I first saw the trailer to Final Fantasy 16, I was just like, I haven't said this before, man, and I'll say it again. When I first saw the trailer to Final Fantasy 16, I literally told myself, is this Final Fantasy 15.2? Is this a prequel or sequel to Final Fantasy 15? But no, it wasn't. It was straight to 16. I was so disappointed. Not because we didn't get a sequel to 15 or prequel of it. No, not that. I was so disappointed. It looks like the same shit that you just fucking. 9 looks different from 1. 7 looks different from 8. For crying out, 15 is different from 14. And 14 is different from 13. But yet, when you see 16, it's copying 15 style. What are you doing? And then also, and it's also like, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually a Final Fantasy game. Okay, yeah, let's go back to that medievalness. You can't have. I'm sorry, for some reason, it's like you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. I'm not saying you can't have sci-fi with the medievalness. We've seen it before. It's in the beginning of Final Fantasy 1. In Final Fantasy 1, you do have sci-fi with the medievalness. When you fight Tiamat in the sky, everything's all freaking futuristic and shit. Feels like ancient people lived here back then. Oh, it's a great dungeon. Great dungeon. One of my favorite dungeons in Final Fantasy. If there was like a top 10 favorite dungeon list, that would have been at least probably my top 3. My top 3, or at least top 5. Because it's that good. It's pretty good. For crying out loud, you get to fight Omega Weapon in that game. You just need to find him, and he's like the hardest boss in Final Fantasy 1. And if you can beat him, then guess what? You can beat the final boss. Good luck. Seriously. Sometimes chaos is hard, sometimes he's not. It depends how you play the game. But moving on from that, the Final Fantasy 16 is using summons. Like each person has a summon within them. That's pretty badass in my opinion. The concept is badass. But at the same time, you have this main character fight like a summon. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just turn into your why wouldn't you just turn into Ifrit and destroy that and destroy the other summon? Or shall I say Titan monster? Or kaiju monsters. Because basically this is what this game is trying to do. Do like kaiju fights. That's the thing. Final Fantasy doing kaiju fights with those summons. why I am not excited for that? Why am I'm not hyped for this shit? If I told you 10 years ago that it wouldn't be cool if Square grabbed their summons and literally made like a game of them fighting each other, like freaking Godzilla and Mothra and shit. People would have been like, "Oh hell yeah!" And then maybe some of them can be maybe some of them can like summon into those monsters, kind of like Ultraman type shit. I'm like, yeah, yeah. If I told you that 10 years ago, we'd be hype as hell talking about it. But now, there's nothing. There's nothing. Why? Why? Because Square Enix killed it. Square killed it. The marketing sucks. All right? The marketing does suck. And most people might be like, "Oh, it needs more marketing." No, it doesn't. It doesn't need more marketing. It doesn't need more marketing. The marketing, what they're showing, look, the 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 the, the stuff that they're showing for marketing is fine. It's standard. It should be like that. It shouldn't be too much or too little. It's fine the way it is. But what they're showing you to promote the game is complete. Oh, look at this! 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 Pay me! Pay me! And then you have people falling for this shit. We keep beating a dead horse here, but this game is almost out. And people are starting to realize, this game is not for me. Even the people that were thinking about getting it are literally, we are almost to the deadline to this game. And already there are some people that are like, yeah, I'm going to skip on this one. Will Final Fantasy 16 make money? I, to be honest, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I just don't care. Look, I feel so inflated, people. You have to understand my perspective. I am so inflated with Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts that I just don't give a shit what they fucking do. They fucking spit on it. They can literally have Mickey Mouse getting fucked in the ass and everyone rioting, and I still don't give a fuck. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. Because they deflated it that much. And it wasn't and look, it wasn't just Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 that killed it more for me. It was a continuation with their product. Okay? For crying out, we all know the whole debacle, how much people wanted to wait for Final Fantasy 7 remake. And then the remake came out. The people that didn't play the original loved it. And then the people that did play the original, oh, there's a split down the middle with that too. Which, again, I'm going back and I said this years ago. Square Enix has done that to the fan base. They have split the fan base even more now, just because of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I think a little bit of 15, but I'm not blaming more. I'm not going to put 15 on that. I'm going to put it more with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because the true hardcore fans are looking at that and they're like, that's not Final Fantasy VII. You literally told us you were making the original remake, and then you literally decided to do a sequel of it. And literally told the viewer, oh yeah, you know that original ending that you loved so much in the PS1 game? Yeah, that is a false ending. I mean, no, not a false ending, a bad ending. It's a bad ending. We're going to give you the good ending where no one doesn't die. That is so. Look, I get it. Kids are not stupid, and if they see that stuff, they're gonna be like, "Well, obviously, if that was real life, they'd be dead." Kids are not stupid. They understand how life and death is, but other kids will probably look at that and be like, "So anyone can just come back now when they die, right?" They're sarcastic of it. Some parents might not get it, but some kids will be sarcastic to it, and the parents that understand their sarcastic humor will look at them and be like, "Huh, you're right," and it's true. Look, my parents and my grandparents don't understand sarcasm. If I'm sarcastic to them, they either think I'm being rude to them or disrespectful, or they don't get it. They don't know. They think I'm being like really truthful. They were like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I was being sarcastic. You know what sarcastic means? You know." So if you have family members like that, you will understand that situation. You know, Final Fantasy 16 though is look. There's even a clip out there showing the main character going through a wall and going a slide like this. I fucking hate that shit. I fucking hate that shit. Because you're hiding the fact that we're just trying to load in the game. Then put a door, or put a waterfall and go right through it. Oh, better yet, have a big hub, and when you leave a room, guess what? That area that you just left is gone, and now another one just opens. Come on, man. There's different strategies of what you can do, but you don't want to take those strategies, Square. You want to do the same mundane shit over and over again. You're supposed to innovate, Square. You're supposed to do new fucking things and tell each and every company this is what you're supposed to do next, motherfucker. You were always like this, but now you're not. It's the same thing with freaking Rockstar. Rockstar and Square Enix were the ones. They were the pioneers. And if anyone from those companies should fucking listen to me, you motherfuckers were the pioneers that all video game companies fucking looked up to at one point. Now everyone looks at you two as a laughing stock. They literally look at you as a piece of shit. And some of them look at you and be like, that's what they're doing, that's what we should do. Not knowing it's going to kill their shit, and not knowing that their fan base is going to fucking dwindle off. Look, I made a video a while back saying that there is going to be a renaissance of gaming and all that stuff, of movies, of wrestling, of life in general. I'm dead serious, and people are noticing that. If you haven't noticed, fine, but at the same time, it's scary that you haven't noticed that. There is a renaissance happening. If you haven't noticed that, oh, oh, I'm just gonna say right now, there's no way you're taking advantage of that because you don't know. If you don't know how you're gonna take advantage of that renaissance that's happening right now, idiot. I know there's a renaissance happening. I can see it, and if you don't notice it, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Wrestling fans, some wrestlers, some people in Hollywood, some people in gaming know that we're going back to fucking good shit now soon. Okay? Even Hollywood is starting to notice this. Hollywood is like, okay, we pushed all this bullshit out and we're not getting shit. So guess what, guys? They are forced to make good shit, which is a good thing. They when I told my friend that, he started laughing. He's like, "Good, it's about damn time." And I'm like, "Thank you, thank you. It is. It's about damn time." Okay, and he said good because he knew it wasn't not just going to be happening to Hollywood. It's going to happen to gaming. It's going to happen to not just television, but animation, move like different types of movie styles and stuff like that. Guys, you have no idea where we're about to head soon. The beautifulness of it. But we just have to wait a little longer. A little longer. Something major on this planet does need to happen for that shit to happen. I'll just say that right now. Alright. And there will be a species of people that is on this planet that will not be here anymore so that shit can happen. Alright? And no, when that shit does happen, people won't get paid and all of that stuff. It will be for passion shit. Okay? Oh, how are we going to live? By grabbing a tree from an apple from a tree. Okay? Because it'll just be right there waiting for you. We're heading to that life. And again, going back, if you haven't noticed that, then either I don't know what to tell you, or I'm going to tell you you're sad. You're sad and you don't know and you're not conscious of thyself. It's 2023. What are you waiting for? Especially for my older people. They're like in their mid 30s or about to be out of their 30s or just about to be in their 30s. I'm about to be 30 soon. I'm 29. And I've been knowing what's going to happen to this planet since 2016. But with this whole thing, and the reason I mention that is because Square Enix needs to do better. They know what time it is. You think these people don't know what's happening to the planet right now in real life? They know what's happening. If they don't change, they're going to die. All these companies know it, including wrestling. Guys, you guys don't know what's up. If you don't know, all these things need to change. Guess what? They're getting rid of the meat. Things are changing. The government wants to go through a diet base. Wants to be diet. They're getting rid of the meats. I'm telling you, this is not a game. Shit's changing. We going through a renaissance, my people. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It is. You never know. You could be the next movie maker. You could be the next video game designer. You could be the next Shigeru Miyamoto. You could be the next Steven Spielberg. Some people might laugh at that, but if you want to laugh at that, then that tells me you have no passion of growing and you have no passion of proving to everyone that you can do it. Why would you laugh at that? You should be grateful that you should be the next this and that. The next you, basically. You don't have to be Steven Spielberg or these people. You could be you and be greater than them. Okay? Because some of these motherfuckers in Hollywood are pieces of shit anyways. Okay? Some of those people in the Square Enix company are pieces of shit too. And I'm not talking about the employees. I'm talking about the people in higher ups. Because they're the reasons why this shit is happening to Final Fantasy. Alright? And the thing is too, look what happened with Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts has become so popular now that it has hit the mainstream and now it's not cool anymore, per se. You know, for those younger people, those older people that want to talk about, what do you mean it's not this and that? I'm like, oh, let me put it in lower tones for you. It's not cool anymore. It was cool when no one didn't know about Kingdom Hearts. Now the public knows about it. It's not cool anymore. It's just not cool anymore. It's not. It's not. It isn't. That's the way it is, man. When something that's popular goes public and sometimes it doesn't become shit. Sometimes it stays the way that it is because the people that bought it really knows that if that shit changes, they don't make shit. Okay? But say, for example, if Disney got a product and they didn't know how the product was. So they just Disney-fied it and they killed it right there. If you don't know what you're going to buy, then you should never buy it to begin with. Just saying. That's why I'm so happy that the UFC bought WWE. I'm not saying, look, I've always said that, hey, would it be cool if Disney bought WWE? In a way, I'm still kind of wish that that did happen, just to see. But we all know that Disney eventually is going to buy everything. So I'm just waiting to the time until UFC gets sold. All right, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the ESPN is like, yo, UFC, we want you. You know, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised one day. And if it does happen, you heard it from the Scar Clown itself. All right, seriously. So going on, moving forward with Final Fantasy 16. I know we're on tangents a bit, but it still all connects to what I'm talking about. If you really know what the hell is happening, and if you've been paying attention to gaming in general too, and life, but that's a different story for another day. But with gaming is changing for the better. It is for the better. Guys, we went to the worst shits in gaming already. All you have to do is look. We all know what happens when we all fall. The only way else to go is back up. Okay? Who knows? Maybe the PlayStation 5 will maybe the PlayStation 5 will be that comeback system, being like, hey, right now I'm in that state of like, hey, no one doesn't like me, but then eventually there might be a game that come out that people will want to play, then people will get me, you know, or there might be something that might be a new slim version of me, then maybe they get that too, and then I might grow, something like that. You know, because I do want to be positive with the PS5. It's just that I don't care for the PS5. I don't care for Final Fantasy 16. Mainly because none of you guys haven't shown me why I should buy it, why I should get it. And Final Fantasy 16 has like the Devil May Cry stuff, man. I've said it before and I said it again. If you want to make a Devil May Cry game, Square Enix, then make one. Do a collab with the people that made what is it? Devil May Cry, the Devil May Cry gameplay act of it. I didn't care. I would have been like, okay, cool. Hell yeah. Let's do it. Cool. Hell yeah. Let's do it. Imagine the gameplay style of Resident of imagine the gameplay style of imagine the gameplay style of Devil May Cry, but the art style and the story of Final Fantasy. Oh my god. Oh god. Not even Final Fantasy, but Square Enix. Oh my god. If this was Squaresoft, oh, guarantee you, they would have made their own series with the people that made Devil May Cry. They would have. They would have never made a collab to make a Final Fantasy thing. No, they would have been like, no, that's Final Fantasy. That's its thing. We make our own thing together. Kind of like when Nintendo and Square Enix collabed. They made Super Mario RPG, the most beloved RPG of all time, right next to Earthbound. There's not a lot of beloved RPGs out there, like for the original Super Nintendo. There's some, yes, but I'm talking about beloved, like to the max. Okay, literally, Chrono Trigger, um, again, Super Mario RPG and Earthbound. Those three games are beloved like crazy. Some people want to be like, oh, what about Final Fantasy 4 and Final Fantasy 6, which is Final Fantasy 2 and 3? Uh-uh. They don't get those opportunities. They're good games, but they don't get that trophy. They don't get that mark. Look at those three games. Chrono Trigger, the games that I just mentioned, Chrono Trigger, already hear people screaming, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, Earthbound. I mean, when I think of those three, I hear fucking riots of screams. If I put Final Fantasy 6 or 4 in there, people would just be like, I mean, they're good games, but damn, man, like, kind of making Final Fantasy 6 look bad for right now, you know? It's like, damn, because sometimes that happens. If you put something that's high level right next to something that people, yeah, like, but right next to it, it's like, nah, man, nah. It's almost like, look, this is a good example. It's almost like having Roman Reigns compared to The Rock. It's like, nah, man, Roman Reigns is not in Rock's level. He's not. To me, he's not. He might never will be. Most people are like, well, maybe he will if he fights his cousin. Maybe if we get that. But right now, I don't see Roman Reigns as that type of person. That's just the way it is if you're a wrestling fan, you know? That's just the way I feel. It's just because WWE has shoved him down our throat, and he took so long for him to turn into a bad guy. You see the repetitiveness of some stuff that I'm talking about here. It's no different from Square Enix when they do into Final Fantasy 16. They didn't learn from Final Fantasy 15. They didn't learn from Kingdom Hearts 3. They definitely didn't learn from the City of NT. Good God. And I don't care about Stranger of Paradise, actually. Like, I've seen clips. I've seen. Alright, anyways. So fucking stupid. So, it's. It's true. This franchise, man. This franchise has gone to somewhere that it should not be. Oh, someone in Square Enix. I mean, look, we got a new COO. We do. So things might change after Final Fantasy 16, but it does not look good right now. It doesn't look good right now. It doesn't. And I have heard that the guy that is in the COO is the new head. He loves all the other. He loves the Final Fantasy games. Like he just loves all the. Obviously, he loves all the good games. He's been there for a while too. He was a director before COO and shit like that. So he probably knows all the games that people like for example, World of Final Fantasy, and literally, what is it like? Final Fantasy 6 and all that stuff. All those other Final Fantasy games that don't get attention sometimes, like Final Fantasy Green of Faith. I know some of you guys want to be like, "Yo, Green of Faith." I haven't beaten that game, but I got far enough to be like, Green of Faith. Like when I look at a Final Fantasy game that's like Green of Faith, it pisses me off. Why? Because that game needs to be a mainline series. World of Final Fantasy needs to be a mainline series. But no, we're going to make Final Fantasy 15 and 16 a mainline series. You see the problem with this? You see the problem with this? And then you literally have the same art style. Which, you think Final Fantasy 15? I've already said this already, but you think Final Fantasy 13 looks the same as Final Fantasy 15? Look at the art styles. They look very, very different. Most people are like, yeah, but the console and shit like that. Don't even mention about the console, because we had the PS2, and when you look at Final Fantasy 10 to compare to Final Fantasy 12, oh, it's night and day. Night and day. Oh, but yeah, they understood the system more. Stop making excuses. No shit. It sounds like you trying to make excuses so you won't be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Fuck, man. Jeez. Because there's some people out there that would do anything just to be like, well, this and that. And I'm like, calm the fuck down. Calm the fuck down. I just told you something, you're freaking out like a fucking 5-year-old. It's just Final Fantasy 16 needs. Look, I don't know what it needs, to be quite honest. Quite loud, who's the boss? Who's the final guy? Who is the monster? Like, usually in these Final Fantasy games, we should already know who the villain is. Do we know who the villain is in Final Fantasy 16? Well, that's probably my fault for not researching it or even not watching the trailers. Well, there's more trailers from what I've heard. And I only watched the first one that Square ever put out. I did watch the second one, but that was it. I only watched 2 trailers and that was it. Is there a final trailer somewhere? Maybe there is, but I'm out. I just don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care. All right, seriously. And here's a video right here, an argument for a turn-based Final Fantasy. Yeah. Could we like get a turn-based Final Fantasy? And the thing is too, some people are gonna be like, oh, fuck you and shit like that. It's always gonna be um action RPG. Guys, for years we have literally been telling Square Enix, could we just get a mainline Final Fantasy that's turn-based? Literally, we're not asking for them to literally just do 10 Final Fantasies turn-based or some shit. You're asking like we said that shit. I'm asking, bring them back in a Final Fantasy game. Okay? So people can think that, hey, you didn't forget your fucking origins, you idiot. That's how I feel like when I play World of Final Fantasy. I'm like, oh, you actually remembered you had turn-based, you fucking dumbass. Seriously. Seriously. And that's why I said they would never touch Dragon Quest with that shit. Are you kidding me? And some idiots around here are like, well, Dragon Quest 12 is going to be action RPG. You're fucking stupid. You are fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. Square Enix is never gonna let Dragon Quest be action RPG. They'll never let that happen. They know the fucking backlash they will get from that. They almost got it with Dragon Quest 9. So don't tell me. That's how I know you don't know your fucking history. That's how I know you don't fucking resource this shit. Final Fantasy 9 almost became an action RPG. People said no, and guess what? Square didn't do it. They were like, all right, let's just make it turn-based. But they made it into a style that felt like it was action RPG. You see? They compromised. And it still felt like it was turn-based. So what? So you could do it, Square. It's just that you're fucking lazy. You don't want to do it because you want to cater to these stupid motherfuckers that are like, oh, look at it to my face. Oh, look at it. It's all over my face. It's all over my face. I'm surprised you haven't had a seizure yet, you dumb motherfucker. Oh. Seriously, I'm surprised you haven't had a seizure for all that shit that they fucking showing you on the fucking screen, motherfucker. Seriously, man. Seriously, they putting more things on the screen than a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. Seriously. Even that, it would make sense because it's a cartoon. This is just bleeding in the eyes. Seriously, man. It's not beautiful. It's bleeding in the eyes. No one doesn't want to see that shit. Okay? It's funny. In Dragon Quest XI, when I do a move with my main character, breathing a fucking giant sword from the fucking sky to hit a giant boss, all the way through his fucking mouth, that shit was a memorable moment for me when I did that shit. When I first did that shit. Shit like that. Remember the whole thing with Sabin? When you could do that move and he's running and he can lift up that fucking moment. It's like, that would have been a cutscene now. That would have been a cutscene. That would have been a cutscene or a cutscene that has a fucking triangle button that you just press. Instead of just going to the menu, doing it, and then all of a sudden, boom, did it. Done. Skill. That's what the fuck I fucking hate that shit, man. Literally. Ever since they bought that shit in Kingdom Hearts 2, I knew Square Enix was going to fucking milk that shit. Because at least in Kingdom Hearts 2, they strategize of like, nah, we can still do classic shit. That's just there just to be there. That's just a little fun note that we could use, and we have used it, but we don't have to. Alright? That's what Kingdom Hearts 2 was about. But everyone else looks at that and they'll be like, yeah, every game should have that. No, they shouldn't. What are you playing? What are you playing? It's not an arcade game. The fuck is on with you? Dumbass. So, at the end of the day, man, Final Fantasy 16 is just not what a Final Fantasy game should be. And a lot of people said that Final Fantasy has been dead. Well, to be honest, look at Final Fantasy 14. You can't say Final Fantasy is dead when you look at 14. 14 is hugely massive. Hugely. Now, I know some people will be like, yeah, but that's MMO. We're talking about mainline. And I'm like, I get it. I sympathize with you. But don't say that Final Fantasy is technically, well, you could say, yeah, mainline, but you can't say that, oh, I don't know, man, like, because look, the mainline Final Fantasy games, they don't even know what they are. They don't. It's funny that 14 knows what it is. 14 knows it's a Final Fantasy game. 15 is like confused. 16 is like, oh, I'm confused too. In World of Final Fantasies, literally look at 16 and it's like, the fuck's wrong with you? You look ugly, by the way. For real. Final Fantasy 16 does not look appealing at all. It does not. Final Fantasy 14 looks more appealing. Final Fantasy 1 looks more appealing. And I'm talking about the original Final Fantasy 1. What is it? Was it Atari Final Fantasy looks better than that shit? But there is no Final Fantasy on Atari. Exactly. uh, that would have been something, though, right? That would have been something. So, tell me what you guys. Tell me what you guys think, man. Tell me down below. How do you feel about Final Fantasy 16? How do you feel about this whole stuff that I said about Final Fantasy 16? I do wish that Final Fantasy 16 could just go back to its roots. I just want one Final Fantasy game that is a mainline game, not a side game, mainline that knows what it is and is going it goes back to a traditional gameplay style. Okay? Like I said before, you have that traditional gameplay style in Dragon Quest 11. There was two options of gameplay styles of Dragon Quest 11. There was one that was traditional turn-based and one that was still traditional turn-based, but you get to move around the arena, the fighting arena. You fight an enemy or a boss. Have that for your Final Fantasy games. Just upgrade it, make it better, make it unique, make it a little bit faster. Hey, one gameplay that points out that's kind of connected to that is Crisis Core. And no, not the PS4 version. Fuck Crisis Core on PS4. I'm talking about the original Crisis Core, baby, on PSP. That gameplay style. Bring that gameplay style back and change it up a bit. Make it a little bit faster. If you want to bring the ATB, go right ahead. If you want, that's your option. If you want to make it flow faster, if you want to make it go faster, if you want to, make it feel that traditional turn-based still, and just use that gameplay and shit like that. You know, if a player wants to do all these techniques of flashing shit, well, you know what? There's a material for that, motherfucker. Using Final Fantasy, using Crisis Core Final Fantasy. Hey, here's a jump material. Press it, jump. There, I'm done. That's what it should be. Not all of the shit that you could just press by two fucking buttons or one. It's not Kingdom Hearts. It's Final fucking Fantasy, motherfucker. So make it act the way it is. Right? It's not fucking Devil May Cry. It's Final fucking Fantasy. Final Fantasy. Okay? Seriously. I know some people are going to be like, well, bring the gameplay for Final Fantasy VII Remake. No. 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 Because the battle gameplay to bring is the Dragon Quest gameplay. Bring the Dragon Quest gameplay to Final Fantasy. I know we've said that, hey, just change it up a bit. Make it to a point that it's going to feel in the realm of Final Fantasy. Seriously. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Okay? Is it that so hard for you, Square? Is it really that hard for you? If it's so hard for you, why are you making games? Why are you putting some of the stuff that's better gameplay in other games, but you're not using it for Final Fantasy? Then stop making these games. Stop. Just stop it then. Don't be a fucking dumbass piece of shit being lazy fuck. You're lazy. You're lazy. And I'll be the first one to say that. I love action RPGs, but I love turn-based way more. Okay? That feelness of just strategizing. Wanted to, I know some RPG games, like, for example, World of Final Fantasy. Sometimes World of Final Fantasy, you don't strategize for shit. You would like to, but I'll get to that when I eventually do talk about World of Final Fantasy. Because it is still a good game, still fun to use, but the whole thing with the if you play Shimigami, the whole aspect of you using an element to destroy your enemy, basically. They tried to do that in World of Final Fantasy, but didn't push it more forward, basically. In some of the clips that I saw, they mostly did that at end game type shit, and I'm just like, why? Why you did that end game type shit, but you didn't do it in the full game? That's the shit that I'm talking about. That type of laziness. That is lazy. Square Enix had a perfect opportunity for World of Final Fantasy to be something really unique during for hardcore players that want to get more substance, basically. And I don't blame them. The gameplay is still fun and all that, but the element aspect is lacking. That's what's flawed with the gameplay with World of Final Fantasy. Still great, still awesome, still fun to play, but the element factor is not there. And the element factor, you put it there, thinking that, oh, okay, it's going to be like, Shimigami. If I'm not doing a good job, then these people are going to fucking kick my ass. If I don't have the right elements, no, just attack them. They'll be good. Really? Yeah. you know, you know how in traditional Final Fantasy you could use shell, protect, and all that. This in World of Final Fantasy, you don't have to do that. You don't. And that's some of the stuff that is a flaw with that game, because at that point it's basically nothing. It does do something, but majority when you level up to a point, it doesn't matter anymore. It might matter when you're fighting a harder boss, but it doesn't matter still when you're fighting normal enemies. Because in the Shimigami world, even the enemies can kill you. Even the enemies are bosses, which I love. I love. Not all the enemies are like this, because again, going back, if you have a strong monster with you or you are higher level, of course you're going to take them out. It's just that's the way it is. But if they're but at least in Shimigami, they have an opportunity to knock you down a peg, and you can fuck up. And I think that's what they want to do with World of Final Fantasy, but either they didn't have time or they just couldn't implement it well. So maybe it was for time, but hey, if we get a sequel to World of Final Fantasy, I hope they implement that, because I think it deserves it. And I think hardcore players will actually play that game more than just normal players that look at that art style and be like, oh, cool, why not? You know, because I know some people might not look at World of Final Fantasy and be like, oh, fuck that shit, it's shit because of the art style. No, guys, that game is fucked up. That game is dark as shit. I was not suspecting World of Final Fantasy to be as dark as I thought it was. I thought it was just going to be a nice chibi time, with fun characters. It is still, but oh my god, it gets fucked up real quick. And you look at the main characters and you're like, why am I playing as these characters? Fuck them. Seriously. Oh man. Oh shit. Seriously. It's just when the whole thing gets revealed, you're like, I don't want to play these characters anymore. uh, oh. But the best thing is the characters feel bad too. So you kind of like, all right, all right, all right. I hope you. Like it's like that. See, when stuff like that. You see how giddy and excited I got? I want that from Final Fantasy again, man. I want. What if Final Fantasy 16 gave us that, or at least showed us it in a little bit of a cutscene? It'd be great. But no, Square Enix was so desperate to calm down the fans that they showed with the whole party member system, they showed a dog. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Seriously. It's almost like, oh, you're upset that there's no party members in Final Fantasy 16? Well, we got a dog. This isn't Secret of Evermore, you motherfucker. By the way, again, going back, I want a sequel to that. Could we get a Secret of Mana series? It's not at all. But to be quite honest, if you're a fan of those series and you're a fan of Secret of Evermore, you might just want to put those together. It has the same gameplay style. It's not made by the same people or none of that. No. But as a fan of, if you're a big fan of Secret of Evermore and Secret of Mana, you might want to put those two together. It has, again, same gameplay style, so you might just want to be like, oh, you could just be like, oh, this is a different world of Secret of Mana, or it's just in a different universe of Secret of Mana, but it doesn't move into their worlds or anything like that, So maybe that's why it's called Secret of Evermore. That's why it's secret, because it's ever morning that it's no one doesn't know. you know. So Secret of Evermore, man. It's just it's a that yo man. Secret of Evermore is really cool. I wish there was a map for that game. That game needs to be re-released again. So there's another Final Fantasy game that I do want to get to when you play as multiple characters. I forgot. Live and Live. I want to get that game. Shit like that. See, Square Enix, when you do shit like that, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I love it. Seriously, bring some of those games back too. I mean, bring some of those games here. I do want to get Live and Live. Definitely want to get that. I've been eyeing that game since day one. When I first saw that game, I've been wanting that game here. Right? And the same thing too. Was it Bahamut or something like that? Bahamut Dragon or some shit like that. Some game that you fighting dragons with your party members, which is fucking awesome. I mean, you're fighting with dragons basically, and you're using dragons as party members. Yo, and you get to breed them and all that, and not breed them, but like put them together and shit, like Shin Megami. Oh, I I want that game. Bring that game here to the West too, man. Because I tried to find it, and apparently it never came out in America. I think it came out in the UK though, right? But yo, that game looks fun as fuck. I definitely would love to buy that game. Hell yeah. And then I saw the gameplay site for that game too, and I'm like, why does Square doesn't see? That's what I love about old school Square Enix games. Different games had different gameplay styles, but now if you have like, say, if we get Secret of Evermore today, not even Secret of Evermore. Imagine we got Imagine we got a game that was supposed to be turn based, but then they made it action because hey, everything's action, might as well. Me and my friend always complain about this. There's nothing new. There's nothing that stands out anymore. Back in the PS1 and PS2 era and the PS3 era, there was games that were standing out, being their own different styles and different versions and different franchises and genres. But now all you guys want to be all the same, and it's boring as shit. That's what's wrong with gaming. And if you want to be a future designer or you making a future game, do different stuff, do different things. All right, that's one of the reasons why why we love Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, and Final Fantasy back in the day. Spyro and Crash didn't copy what Final Fantasy did, and Final Fantasy didn't copy what Spyro and Crash did either. They knew what they were, and they did what they needed to do, and that's why they were successful. It makes no sense anymore. Like, all you guys be like, oh yeah, let's do this again. And the thing is, too, some people might say that, oh yeah, but the whole, collecting genre, like the whole, Mario 64, the whole Spyro stuff, that's a fad. No one doesn't like those anymore. What are you talking about? I've been missing those games for years. I've been wanting those games back forever. And for some reason, all these developers thought the same thing. Oh, that's a fad. A fad? Collectathons is a fad? But yeah, we can get collectathons in RPG games and other games. Like Grand Theft Auto. It's a fad when there's a game surrounded by it, but it's not a fad when a game like GTA does it. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. That's just a side thing that you could do for extra just because the game developers had extra time to do something. Stupid concept. God. Seriously, that's what sometimes mostly it was back then. You made the game, and if you still have enough time, you put some side stuff on it. For people to get more bang for their buck. But nowadays, people suspect that shit. Which is kind of sad. But at the same time, I can see why. Again, going back, bang for your buck. Because if you are paying $60 or almost $100 for one game, you motherfucker, you better give me all the side shit possible. I want more than 1,000 side quests in that game, motherfucker, if I'm paying $100 for it. And the story better not be fucking short. I want a fucking story, I want New Game Plus, and I want a fucking secret ending, and another secret ending plus. With that New Game Plus. That's what I want. Especially if I'm paying for that price right there. And there's a lot of games that do that. That do that. But there's a lot of games out there that do not. Because some of them just want to be like, hell no. And that's Square Enix and Final Fantasy 16. That's just the way it is, man. Look, are they gonna change that? Well, I did say that. Hey, things are changing, so yeah, it will change. It's just that we haven't seen that change yet. Right now, we're just seeing the bullshit more. Are we almost done with the bullshit with the whole Final Fantasy and Square Enix stuff? I don't know. I do not know. What's their next game after Final Fantasy 16? You know what? We'll see. Because whatever is the next game of Final Fantasy was whatever is the next game after 16 is most likely the nail of the coffin for Square Enix 10 years from now. And that will be it. You could say Final Fantasy 16 kind of is that boat too, but let's wait for the next game. Not for the next Final Fantasy game, wait for the next Square Enix game. If the next Square Enix game does not deliver, or does not deliver to the exact aspect as what it was back in the 90s, in some of the 2000s, then I guess we just need to stop. Because 10 years down the line, they still be like this. So why buy Final Fantasy 16? Why buy the next game after Final Fantasy 16? Why buy Kingdom Hearts 4? Why? Seriously, why? I know some people might be like, are you really going to stop buying Kingdom Hearts because of one game that's bad? You don't understand. Kingdom Hearts is not a game that's like Final Fantasy, that's like all different stories and all that. No, it's a whole thread of one story. So when you get one thing that's fucked up, that was hyped for years, and the developers just to be like, oh yeah, string it along and push it over just to push it over, and then put a DLC on it just to be like, oh no, we didn't fuck up, and then you use the DLC because you did fuck up. Then you made another game that no one didn't fucking care about, rhythm piece of shit that, you know, no one didn't want to fucking play. And then you were like, oh, you're not gonna play it? Here's a story behind it. Now you're gonna play it, right? Nope, we're still not gonna play it. Fuck you. This is the part we at with Square, at least with me. Okay? So Square Enix better buck up, or else all of their fans are gonna be by. Like I've said this before, Square, your hardcore fan base that loves turn-based RPGs are going to play Dragon Quest, Persona, your competition, and Shin Megami, also your competition. Don't tell me they're not. They are. They're your competition. And they're kicking your ass. And it's fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. It's funny that I look at Persona and Shin Megami as more faithful Final Fantasy games, where they're not even close to being a Final Fantasy game. That's sad. That's sad. Because you know Shin Megami is not all about chocobos and all that stuff. It's all about demons and angels, collecting them and making them together. And maybe a little bit of relationship with a demon or so. Seriously, that is Shin Megami. Right? There's more to it, obviously. But, you know, if you want to get people invested real quick, you know, you got to put all of it in there. You got to put the violence, the sex, and all that shit. Hell yeah, that's all in there. Hell yeah. All right? Seriously. Yeah, like, you're not going to see characters having sex, but you're all going to get some hints of some demons probably mating with each other, or some demons that want to mate with you, and you're like, oh okay. Is this a thing? And most likely in every Shin Megami game, you're a demon anyways, so go half at it. Oh man. But that's it, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully one day they do make a Square Final Fantasy game that the monsters have relationships with the humans, basically. Because they do that in Dragon Quest. And they do that in Shin Megami. And I don't mind that in Dragon Quest and Shin Megami. I think it's good. It makes the lore of the monsters more engaged and relevant, in my opinion. Because sometimes in RPGs, you'd be like, what are these monsters for? Oh, they're just here because the villain made them, and it's like, that's not, because in Dragon Quest, when you look at an orc or slime, they could be normal people, just living their life. You don't have to be a wild person outside of the woods that you can attack. They can be civilized, basically. You know, not to say the monsters that you fight in Dragon Quest are not civilized. Of course, they have their own people, they have their own civilizations and shit like that. But sometimes they like to work with humans, basically. You know, and I won't be surprised if some Dragon Quest monsters had relationships with human characters in Dragon Quest. I won't be surprised. It did happen in Pokemon. Sorry, at least in the Dragon Quest. I mean, at least in the um, I bet there is a Dragon Quest game that does that hints a relationship of a human and a monster. I think, but I know Shin Megami does do that. I don't know if they do that a lot, but I know there is some that do. So there's that. So I think that's it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think about this whole thing, and how do you guys feel about Final Fantasy in general? You know, this is something not to complain to complain. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I love Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy doesn't know what it is, man. Some people might think, yes, it does know what it is. Does it really? Are you just saying that because it's catering to what you like instead of catering to what it should be? Just because you had a pizza and it was good doesn't mean it's good for you. Okay? Seriously. Now think about that.